Hey crew, Rick here from Hobby Time. Been about a month since I have made a video. Basically I was having a bit of a break. I wasn't really enjoying what I was doing. I was doing a lot of stuff for other people and for the channel, and I kind of lost sight of what I really wanted to do, which was the big projects and everything like that. So over the last month I've kind of had a bit of a reset and start again. But yeah, I'm back into printing. I'm lucky enough that I have come across a resin printer, and I've started resin printing some smaller stuff, working on my painting skills. Yeah, so we'll be back in the big projects eventually, but we've got some pretty cool stuff coming up here. This video is about this guy. This is a Bouncer, Big Daddy. As some of you know, I've been trying to build a cosplay costume of the Bouncer for quite a long time. So I thought, look, I'll print a miniaturized version with the little sister, and yeah, see if I fall in love with it even more. But yeah, stick with us guys. We'll go through everything I have learnt. Now, I had a bit of help with this one with some tutorials with a friend of mine called Hayden. He is an absolute wizard with paints and everything like that. He helped me a lot with weathering and with lighting and shading and everything. So it's been really, really good, this one. It's been a great learning experience. But yeah, stick with us guys and let's get this one all done. So this is the original file from Nom Nom Figures or Nom Nom Studios. It was a great file. I really, really loved the render, so how could I not print this? So it started out, I was going to resin print everything. However, the size of the figure, when I upscaled it and everything like that, it just wasn't possible to be able to do it all in resin. It wouldn't fit on my resin printer. So what I've done is the main body, as you can see here, I've FDM printed it. And then I did a few other pieces in FDM as well, but most of the detail pieces and everything like that I tried to do in resin, simply because, you know, resin is just so much better. I mean, my K1 Max, that can do 0.08 layer height, but still you got visible layer lines, where resin, you don't really have those layer lines. But as you can see here, this is all FDM printed, however printed in two parts, so we do have a bit of a seam going on here, so that's what the plastic welding's for. Now, doing a bit of test fitting here. Obviously the drill was FDM, the legs were resin, and it was just a mixture of other bits and pieces that sort of, I went resin and FDM, resin, FDM, resin and FDM. So, you know, here's a test assembly, so you can actually get a chance to see what it looks like in its entirety. Now, he is missing an arm there, I am aware of that. But I think he ended up being about 1/2 meter tall, or just shy of, when he was on his base. But as you can see there, that is the full assembly of everything. There's some resin, there's some filament, there's a bit of everything in here, just so you know, if you do have one printer or another, it shows that you can do a bit of everything. Now, the most important stage here I've learned is priming, making sure your primer is all done and it gives a nice firm base for all the paints to stick to. Also, for this project, I went and got a heap of new paints. I've started using a lot more model colour and then game colour, but I also have some really good new things that I've never used before. But this thing took me forever to paint, and every step of the way I had my friend Hayden, he's like, no, try this, do this, do this, do this. And it was a massive difference for me, because this is normally not what I do. Like with the big builds, the helmets, the cosplay, like there's nowhere near the detail and time taken, and much respect to these statue builders and painters, because the effort that they go to for these things is amazing. Now, as you can see here, it's a layer of the brassy bronze, as it's called, and then basically what we're going to do is touch it up in a few bits and pieces. The good thing about this sort of stuff is you can draw outside the lines, or paint outside the lines, I guess, and still get away with it, because you can always paint over it for the next colour, and you've got to go back over again and again and again. So, you know, it can be forgiving in some instances, and other times no, it cannot. But as you can see here, Unfortunately, I forgot to show painting the green for the dive suit. However, it's green, guys. Like, you didn't need to see that. A lot of this is pretty repetitive and things like that. It's going backwards and forwards and backwards and forwards, and just learning new techniques for me. So I got new brushes, all the way down to 5-0 brushes, like real detailed stuff. And I've been learning about dry brushing and stippling and things like that. Most of these techniques I don't really use or have never used before, because in armour building it's kind of simple. Not, I guess not simple, but it's a different kettle of fish. So it's not what I'm used to. But as you can see, it's slowly coming together. The base colours are coming together. You know, you're getting sort of a sense of detail, I think, from the different colours and things like that. And any other time I would have been happy to, oh look, that looks great, I would have been happy, it's finished, it's done. But no, the amount of time and effort that go into this side of things after those initial base layers have gone down is just staggering. And this was a massive learning curve, as I said, but I really enjoyed this process. Lots of questions were asked, lots of videos, and if anyone wants to go out and start doing this sort of stuff, my advice would be to YouTube, and not just find one person, find multiple people, because what works for them may not work for you always, and so it's handy to see different, I guess, different skills and different workflows of how people do stuff. I mean, just for example, if you look at the drill, you think, oh, the drill's silver, but it was 3 types of silver, I think, and there was dry brushing, and then there was black washes, brown washes, more silver. And it's hard because in the video, it doesn't really do it justice. Like, I see it now when I look at the statue on my shelf, but like, it's just things like the laces and the buckles and things like that. I mean, obviously you can see here now it's starting to come together. We're getting a little bit of shine. It's lighter, it's showing the light and showing the shadow and things like that. Boots were definitely my favourite part. The legs were definitely my favourite. Something about them, just the way the light hits that brass and the copper, it just reminds me so much of real world stuff. And obviously now going back in and touching them up, adding some more weathering, adding some bits and pieces and some details just to make it look that little bit more realistic. This was one of the worst parts for me. The smoke, essentially, it just really annoyed me. I just found that I couldn't get it right to how I wanted it. I probably printed in the wrong colour and didn't do a deep enough primer, but then I've gone white and a black wash, some more white and a black wash, and tried to make it look like steam and smoke. Not sure if I got the effect right. People think it looks okay, but I'm not 100% sure. Now, this was probably the most time consuming part of this build. I wanted white and black tiles, very much a vintage theme, kind of like BioShock was. This thing took like, I'd say an hour just to do that gold inlay on the tiles. But at the end of the day, I think it was worth it. You know, I really, when you see the final product here, hopefully that you'll agree that it looked right. And this was obviously a new technique for me as well, with the way layering paints and stuff like that, just to get that little bit extra in there. So hopefully the effect sells itself in the end, but you will get to see here what I ended up looking like for this. Now, I've gone with a tile pattern, which did my head in. I probably shouldn't have done, made it harder on myself than I had to, but you know, sometimes you got to do these things. So you'll see in a second what it looks like in the end, and hopefully the effect is something that you liked, because I really enjoyed doing it, even though it did take forever. Now, there was one thing I did forget to mention on the Big Daddy model, which you'll see here on the test fitting. I used a product I've never used before called Dirty Down, and I think it was Verdigris, and it was like a a brassy corrosion that you'd see on brass and bronze, and when they go green and they get that oxidization. Now I use that, and that for me really transformed the build. Hopefully you'll see at the very end video here, but it just gave that little bit extra that you wouldn't normally see on a certain build. But for me, it sort of sold everything. Like looking at it face to face, it was like, yep, this really set it off. But it's a very subtle effect, or a very stark effect if you want to use it. It's entirely up to you. But I went nice and subtle, just did a little bit there. But obviously here you got little sister as well. Forgot to show little sister being painted. It's kind of a rush, and I haven't made a video in a while, guys, so there you have it. This was a great fun build for me, really enjoyed it. Good to get me back printing again and learning new things. I was getting a bit bored doing stuff, but guys, you'll get to see here the end product. Hopefully you liked it as much as I enjoyed doing it. But here's the final result. See what you think? Anyway guys, that was the video for the Big Daddy. Now as you can see in the background there, we've got a couple of other statues coming up. Whether I film them or not, I don't know, but I've been really enjoying printing them and building them, painting them, that sort of stuff. But still having a bit of a break from the big stuff, as I mentioned before. But I've got a couple of half-finished projects here and here and here behind us. So hopefully sooner rather than later you might see something, but if not, we'll keep plodding along. But yeah, YouTube's a tough one, very tough one there. But for those of you who do watch the videos, I really thank you very much. And to the algorithm, well, you're a terrible mistress to follow you. So I've just decided I'm going to do things for me from now on, and yeah, we'll see how we go. But as always, for the ones of you that do watch, thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Thanks for your comments, and hopefully you enjoyed this one and learned something as I did. But stick with us, and hopefully you'll see some more videos sooner rather than later. Thanks guys.